Hello and good evening, everyone again. Just want to take this time to say thank you for taking time out of your night to join us for our community input meeting. It's the first one of the new year, 2020-21. And so we're excited to share some information from with you and of course to get your input and concerns as well. My name is Ayabami Bell Torrance. I am with Marketing and Outreach. I would like to now introduce my colleagues who are joining us tonight and start with our Executive Director of Transit.
Hello, Michael Oglesby, Executive Director of for the City of Detroit. We're excited to hear what you have to say tonight.
Thank you. I'll go in as I see everyone. Ricky. You're muted.
Hi, my name is Ricky Amakura and I'm the Manager of Data and Reporting.
Ms. King.
Emily King, Regulatory Compliance Officer. Welcome.
Wimberly.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Zandra Wimberly. I am an Assistant Director for Administration. Welcome.
Mr. Dolly. No, we heard him earlier. Okay, we can come back if we need to. Chief.
Good afternoon, everyone. Chief Ricky Brown, Transit Police.
You want to go ahead? Go ahead. I see you, Mr. Dolly. Unmute.
Hi, my name is Mike Dolly. How are you? I am from the Department of Transportation, Vehicle Maintenance Division.
Thank you. Taylor Hendricks.
Everyone, Mickey Taylor Hendricks with Scheduling and Service Development. Welcome.
Ms. Walsh.
Hi, everybody. Mary Ann Walsh, Deputy Director of Administration for DDOT.
Mr. Fisher.
Hello, everyone. My name is Brian Fisher, Regulatory Compliance Officer for DDOT.
Ms. Donahue.
Hi, everyone. I'm Deanna Donahue, the Grants and Planning Coordinator at DDOT.
Mr. Lozen.
I'm Don Lozen, the Regulatory Compliance Officer for ADA.
Ms. Schofield.
Hello, everybody. I am Gina Schofield, Scheduling Service Development.
Mr. Kowski.
Hi, Kristen Lukowski, also on DDOT's marketing team.
And I believe I called everyone. Please let me know if I did not. Please unmute yourself. Okay. I do want to acknowledge our interpreter tonight, Mr. John Harvey. We're going to start now with our rules, which are pretty simple. We just ask that you please wait to the end of all our updates to ask any questions for the public comment. At that time, you will be allowed 2 minutes. We just ask that you please be respectful of that time. No personal attacks or no foul language. The chat will also remain closed until that public comment time. And the same rules as far as please be respectful and no personal attacks or foul language in the chat as well. I am going to now provide some of our updates. Again, this is not an inclusive list, but these are some of the highlights. And as you just heard from all of our staff that introduced themselves, they will be available to go into more details and to elaborate on anything else and ask to answer any questions that you may have. So one moment, please. Starting tonight with our Transit Police update We heard you last month with the concern regarding our public restrooms at Rosa Parks Transit Center. So we just wanted to let you know that we heard you and we did make some changes immediately. Those extended hours are now effective. The restrooms are available for public use daily from 7 in the morning until midnight. The lobby does remain closed to the public due to COVID-19 health regulations. Moving on to scheduling and service development. There's a minor service change that's going to take place Monday, February 8th. The 5 Van Dyke Lafayette, the weekday headway, returning to 15 to 17 minutes. The 9 Jefferson, that weekday headway, is also returning to 15 to 17 minutes. And the 38 Plymouth, letting you know that additional trips have been added for the factories on the line. And those changes are to take place February 8th, and you can always go on our website to download, view, or print the schedule, detroitmi.gov/DDOT. When it comes to data and reporting, the technology upgrade implementation is still ongoing. We want you to know that you can expect improvements to information available on our DDOT website, and that is coming soon as we make those updates as soon as they will be available. From operations, our enhancement training for the bus operators have been completed. And as part of that was the FTA refresher training. So as a compliance update, that completion has taken place. It was a training course over 300 safety sensitive employees. Those areas include Title VI, EEO, which is equal employment, drug and alcohol, and ADA. So you know that compliance will continue to monitor the quality of service provided by all employees. Comes to disadvantaged business enterprise, which is DBE update. The department is accepting new applications and managing annual affidavits through the new system. It's called B2G Now. If you have any questions, you can email us sorry, the closed captioning is cutting off, dbe@detroitmi.gov. And we'll have that information in the chat as well later today. And I'm sure Mr. Fisher will be able to elaborate some more. When it comes to the State Fair Transit Center update, we know that a lot of you have been waiting on the equity analysis. It is almost complete. We just have pending some edits that will be available. Plans to release that next week. Information when it comes to detailing the location of the transit center. So please be mindful of that. And that is all the department updates that I have on my end. Again, these are just some of the highlights, and we will get into more details a little bit later today. Before I open it up to our public comments, I also want to give a chance to any one of our DDOT staff who would like to take this time now to provide any additional updates that I might have missed, or again, if you'd like to elaborate now, or we can wait to the questions.
Thank you, Ms. Torrance. This is Chief Brown. I just wanted to update on the calls for service regarding transit police and disturbances dealing with mask. The calls for service have been steady. However, I would like to say and thank the general public, especially the riding public. They have been very cooperative for the most part when it's brought to their attention that they must have a mask. So I just want to commend and thank the riders for becoming more cooperative and understanding of the situation.
Thank you for that. Anyone else? Okay, it looks like it's that time of the hour. We're going to open it up to public comments and see hands raised already. Again, just keep your hand raised and we will call upon you. Please be, again, mindful of our 2 minutes. And if time allows, we will circle back around. So I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Kristen, and I want to go ahead and give our first caller.
You make me a co-host.
I will do that. One moment. Okay, you're all set. Sydney.
Okay, the first hand raised I saw was Cunningham. Go ahead and unmute yourself.
Can you hear me?
There we go.
All right. So I think about 3 or 4 people I got to join the meeting and raise their hand today. Taught them how to do the Zoom and the call in and to raise their hand. So they'll say whatever they want to say about the bus service. They're regular riders. I do appreciate people have been approaching me for my activism over the years and asked me about that transit center, the bathroom. And the last time I had got 2 other random people to speak about the restrooms, and thank God they're open until 12 o'clock. I don't use the restrooms. It doesn't affect me, but it affected my conscience. So I do appreciate that. Good to see some familiar faces. Miss Pamela King, Miss Nikki Taylor Hendricks, been around a long time now. But I do appreciate that. And is the whatchamacallit open for chat? Just letting, I think the chat is open,
It
which
is
is a
open now.
blessing. The hurdles, they don't need a password to get into the meetings now. It's becoming more easy for people to get into the meetings and speak for those looking in to this meeting. On Sunday, it was slapping at night, 2, 3 in the morning. There was only one bus on the line. It was good for business in this taxi cab, but it was really hurtful for my conscience. So just wanted to say that. I don't know what was going on. I drove from the State Fairgrounds all the way to the McDonald's with a customer who wanted to go to McDonald's all the way downtown and only seen one bus. But folks was flagging me down, and slapping means busy. That's what the young people taught me. It was busy for the taxi, but it was people were out there freezing, and it would really hurt my conscience. So what's your name, sir? Mr. Woods, what's your name, ma'am? Miss Stephanie. They'll be speaking shortly. Thank you all. Have a blessed day. I keep you in my prayers. And remember, never been paid for this. None of that. Keep fighting. Little people can make a difference. Nobody's like me and you. We can do it together. Have a blessed day.
Thank you, Mr. Cunningham.
The next hand up I saw is K51.
Stephanie.
You can go ahead.
We can hear you.
Good evening. My name is Stephanie, and I'm a lifelong Michigander, and I don't drive. My biggest issue is that when the buses don't show up and they change the routes of the buses and they don't alert the public of where the buses are picking back up to pick the people up at. And also some of the stops are very far from each other, especially if you're on East Warren, the bus stops are far from each other.
Did you have any additional comments, or we can see if anyone can address those?
My biggest issue, like at some of the bus stops at night, there are no street lights there, so and the signs you sometimes can't see.
Do we have anyone that would like to speak?
Yes, I'll speak on that. As far as the routes being changed, we haven't changed any routes in over a year now. And as far as the bus stops on Warren, right now what we're doing, they're having a streetscape on Warren, and once they complete it, the stops should be up. You should be able to see them once they complete the streetscape.
Also, thank you for that. And Brother Cunningham brought me to the meeting.
Thank you for attending. And please continue to provide your input and come back again.
Okay. The next hand up I see is a number ending in 767. Seven, 6, 7.
Why the buses pass you up when only 2 people on the bus? They pass you up when 2 people is on the bus. They pass you up when you're standing at the bus stop. Tell them who you are, Chris Woods.
Did you have any, was there a specific location or area that happened in? That you could
Yeah,
provide?
Troy Road and Cloverline. They do that all the time. When 2 people on the bus, they just pass you up when you're standing at the bus stop.
We have everyone on the phone call now. I know we're noting that. Have you reported that? Please also, we ask that you please report instances like that, because I don't think that should be the case, especially with 2 or 3. I know we do have minimum requirements now, but they are larger than that. So I don't know what the reason behind, but if that's something that's happening often, that it sounds like that needs to be reported. Has it been reported?
No, Mr. Cunningham, refer me to y'all, Mr. Cunningham.
Okay. Well, we'll put it in chat as well, but I just also wanted to give the customer service number. You can always call 313-933-1300. And I think Ms. King, were you gonna?
That's exactly what I was gonna say.
Okay.
Sir, just call
Okay.
933-1300. Let them know your location, which direction you're headed. If you can, get that coach number off the back as it goes by. Call in the customer service and there'll be an investigation.
Okay.
You have to it's best if you do it in real time, okay?
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, the next hand up I see is Robert Pavlovsky.
Can you guys hear me all good?
Yep.
Okay, first thing I'd like to say Happy New Year to you guys. It's a new year. I hope you guys got some New Year's resolutions, and I got some more concerns. So Route 41 Schaefer, I know that's closer to Northland, and I know it stops at 8 Mile. I would like to see that one get expanded to Northland Drive where those shelters are, and also to Providence Hospital where Greenfield, Route 10 Greenfield goes to. I'd like to see that. Also expanding 1 Verner up to Fairlane for people have an easier connection from Southwest Detroit that live in that area over to Fairlane. It'd be very nice instead of hopping on Junction and then making 2 other transfers. 19 Fort, to have an easier connection to Route 140, one of the smart routes, expanding 19 Fort into Lincoln Park, Fort and Southfield. Easier connections there. Also expanding Route 47 Tireman to Telegraph and Warren for an easier connection there. Also expanding Route 4 Woodward back to the transit center. I've seen it go to the transit center when you guys, before you guys put these Connect 10 routes in play. I'd like to see that going back to the transit center again instead of making that walk to Woodward to catch it there. Also, it's hit and miss with Route 23 in the fairgrounds when it goes into the bus loop to pull in. It's hit and miss when it pulls in there, but I like to see it full time before the construction breakdown goes into place for Route 23 going back into the bus loop at the fairgrounds. I would love to see that. Route 40 Russell, the Eastern Market District. So if you look on Google Transit, any other area that shows, or any other app that shows the bus stops in that area, there's some concerns. There's no bus stops listed when you look on Street View. If you look on Street View, there's no bus stops listed in the picture. There are 3 in mind. The Wilkins stop going northbound by the fire station, Alfred going northbound right by Shed 5, and then southbound Division right by, I think, Germac or Rocky's Peanuts, I believe. There needs to be some signs put up for a bus stop over there, because you don't know if they're going to drop you off or not because there's no bus stop listed. I've had that problem before when I get on Russell, and it's usually a mess, and I end up walking from Russell and Mac to Eastern Market because there's no stops. But there are 2 around the Shed 3, Shed 2 area. But if you're going to somewhere like, let's just say, somewhere like the far end of Eastern Market, it'd be easier to have a stop right there and make it easier walking distance to go over there. I have some more comments, but I'm going to let other people finish what they have to say. And yeah, just let other people have to say, and we'll finish after that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. The next hand up I see is Mr. Verse.
Can I get some clarity really quickly on his on the 40 Russell? So I got the routing suggestions that you gave, but for 40 Russell, were you saying that the stops don't show up in Google Maps? Or are you saying that recently you have not seen the actual stop signs, the bus stop signs on Russell?
I haven't seen the bus stop signs. They have the signs shown up on the map, but when you look in Street View for let's just say Apple Maps or Google Maps, you look in the Street View for these 3 stops, there is no sign posted. There's literally no sign posted.
So, but you're not seeing this in person, you're seeing it on the internet or on Google Maps?
This I've seen, this is the last time I saw a stop there was, I think, 2015. But every time I go up there into the Eastern Market District, there's never a sign. I've seen this in person. I saw this last year in person, and I also saw current Street View photos from this year on the internet, and it's still, there's nothing there.
Okay, I can double check. We can look into it because the last few times I've used that route, the stop signs are out there, but we can definitely double check and make sure they're there. So thank you for that.
Okay, thanks.
Ayabami, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yes, do you have Robert's email?
We do.
Robert, if you hear this, I'd appreciate if you could put a list of what you put down and the additional thoughts that you have for routes. I'd appreciate it because we need to get more information like that from the actual riders who can pinpoint things that we may not see. So Ayabami, if you could make that happen, I'd appreciate it.
Got it.
More than welcome to send you guys info if you need it.
Yes, we appreciate you. You always have some great stuff.
Like I said, I have more comments, but I'm going to let other people speak for other people to make comments.
Okay, we'll circle back if there's more time tonight.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Verse, thank you for your patience.
Thank you. My name is Larry Donaldhurst, and I'm with Detroit's People's Platform Transit Justice Team. Speaking on behalf of riders in general and myself later on in particular, I'd like to say one thing. To begin with, last month, things have been improving swell for several months. By this time, everything seems to have gone to hell in a garbage can. I mean, really, because things are getting really, really bad. To start with, buses aren't showing up when they're supposed to. And yes, I do report it. I've made over 20 reports. Again, there's a problem with the beacons. They simply are not.
I'm sorry, we're getting extremely loud background noise.
I was gonna suggest that we can hear, but it is a really loud background noise. I don't know if people want to turn personal volume down. Can you move to a different area, Mr. Verse?
Probably not. I can change speakers. Let's see, is the background noise still there?
It is.
What about now? Still there?
Still there.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is because there's nothing on in here.
It sounds like loud static or maybe a bad connection. Barely hear you.
Well, it may be a bad connection.
Do you have access to the chat tonight?
Yes.
Or we could try to, okay, if you could go ahead and give us
well,
your comments there, and we can try to come back to you later as well. We won't forget about you.
Okay, that'll work.
Okay.
In the meantime, I'll find out what's wrong with this machines.
Perfect. We'll come back to you.
One moment. There we go. The next hand up I see is Siri Simpson. You should be able to unmute yourself.
I think in the chat she mentioned that maybe she changed her mind.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I see it now. Yep. Pass.
Great. Okay. Next is Moto G Power.
Yes, hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, first, how are you guys doing today?
Great, thank you.
All right, excellent. Now, my concerns is basically with the fact that these buses, obviously, has already been covered about them being late on a consistent basis. And also the fact that these buses at this point in time, per the governor's order, are supposed to be utilized for essential services only. However, there have been several situations where there are individuals on the buses who are definitely not utilizing these services for essential services. And therefore, individuals who really are utilizing these services for the essential needs are being passed up. And that's just not fair. Me, myself, I'm a hardworking Detroiter, a lifelong Detroiter. I work each and every single day. I'm not out here working because I want to per se be out here in the midst of this virus, but because I have to. And it's not fair that I'm getting on these buses. These buses are absolutely disgusting. That it looks as if these buses haven't been cleaned or sanitized properly in God knows how long. But basically the fact that there are individuals on these buses that are joyriding simply because the fare is suspended at this moment in time is just unacceptable. These buses should be utilized for individuals who are actually taking care of essential services, as I basically specified before. It's just not right and it's not fair, especially since prior to all of this actually happening, I was paying every single month $69.50 for a bus pass. So I'm definitely not happy at all with this, just to be blatantly honest. It's wrong. It's just not right. Individuals shouldn't be allowed to just joyride on these buses like that. And individuals not properly wearing their masks or wearing their mask at all, as well as individuals who are openly drinking alcoholic beverages and smoking on these buses. I have reported these issues, and I have been told by individuals that I have spoken with, oh, well, all we can do is just request it. We can't really do anything. We can't really put anyone off these buses. Yes, you can do it. Yes, you most certainly can do it. And I don't appreciate that behavior. The customer service is just horrendous, absolutely horrendous. And that's just the honest to God truth.
Okay.
I'm sorry, this is Chief Brown, Transit Police. I'd like to quickly address that. The one aspect of that comment, transit officers are daily issuing miscellaneous ordinance violations and appearing in court in response to people having open alcohol, music on the buses, and things of that nature. So we are conducting stringent enforcement on these buses. You said you reported it, but I need to know who you reported it to, and then we can follow up to make sure that if you do have this problem in the future and you report it, then it's being directed to the right personnel to conduct the appropriate enforcement action immediately.
Okay, well, I actually reported it online. I submitted an email, and I also called as well.
Okay.
And whoever these representatives are, they are terrible. They are not properly doing their jobs either.
Let me ask you a quick question. I don't mean to cut you off, but do you have a specific route and a general time frame so that way I can assign officers to ride that bus for that time and place?
I actually have that information in my email because I received an email from DDOT, which basically said a whole lot of nothing.
Okay. I will follow up on it. And if you have a contact information in that email, I will also return contact to you.
Okay, absolutely. I do have it.
Okay. I'll take care of you.
Okay, I do appreciate that.
You're welcome.
And okay, and I just wanted to know what is going to be done about the other issues that I addressed.
Let me try to address that. First of all, we appreciate you and your comments, and I appreciate your passion. I can assure you that I am as frustrated as you are with some of the issues that we're having, but unfortunately, a lot of it is generated by the pandemic itself. A lot of people don't realize this, but typically you can fit 40 people on a bus. And due to the restraints that we have in place, we're only allowed to put 10 people on a bus. So this is what's creating the true problem, because if you need a ride, yet there are 10 people on the bus, you can't get on that bus, you have to wait for the next one. The problem that you're pointing out, which is a good one, is that there are some people that are joyriders. It's hard to detect who's a joyrider and who's not because we are not charging fares. I firmly believe that when we move forward and we get back to charging fares, which we don't have the date, but we're trying to work on it because we want to make sure that you can board safely and cleanly, this will solve the problem. The joyriders are riding because it's free. Once we put the fares in place, we put the barriers up, we put policies and procedures in place. Individuals like yourself that are hard-paying individuals to ride will be able to get on the bus. But right now, this is a problem that's plaguing our entire system. And again, is due to the pandemic and the fact that we're all trying to make this work. As far as the cleanliness on the bus, we're paying a lot of money for the cleanliness. So I appreciate the fact that you indicated that there's a problem. I don't know if my maintenance team is on, but I will say that it concerns me. We are cleaning the bus so much, it's undescribable. At the beginning of the route, at the terminals, in the middle. One of the problems that may have happened, and I'm not making an excuse, but maybe you have gotten on a bus or one of the routes that is a little more rowdy than others, and maybe when you got on, it was a mess that happened after cleaning. I mean, you know that is very simple to make things look really bad very quickly. But we're going to look at it. We have cameras. We're going to go back to the drawing board and see what we're doing wrong and try to fix them. As far as customer service, I understand your concern. Customer service is really doing what they can with what they have. One of the things that happened during the pandemic is there was a reduction in staff simply because of financial reasons. So we're trying to continue to move forward with reduced staff. Again, this is no excuse. It's just giving you an explanation and the truth of what's going on here. I will tell you that I've put in the future budget to not only increase customer service representatives, but to increase them to a point that we have 24-hour service, which we currently don't have. Once that is approved, the public will be the first to know. As a matter of fact, I'll be so excited, I'll be jumping up and down because this is ridiculous. I've never seen anything like it. We run 24-hour service, but we don't have 24-hour customer service. In addition, we're doing a lot of train the trainer. And one of the focuses that we're going to put in place is training customer service to make sure that you feel that your needs are met. So with that being said, I appreciate your comments. Staff has written them down, and we are going to work as hard as we can to bring things up to the level that you deserve as a hard paying customer.
If I may.
Okay, I greatly.
Ma'am, when you put your complaint in online, which is called the feedback form, or when you called in, Chief would need a name so they can look it up, or did you put it under Moto G Power?
Actually, I put it under my name.
Okay, he's gonna need that in order to get that. Do you mind giving your name now?
Sure, absolutely. It's DELO McDaniel.
Daniel?
McDaniel.
McDaniel. I'm sorry, can you spell it one more time?
Yes, that's capital DELO, and the last name is McDaniel.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Okay, fantastic. Fantastic. I just want to let you know too that Zandra Wimberly is on the call also, and she's heard you, and she's Assistant Marianne Walsh and overseeing customer service.
Okay, I appreciate that. And I just wanted to quickly add this very quickly and say that in terms of the 10 passengers that are supposed to be on the buses right now only, that's definitely not been the case. These buses continue to be overcrowded severely.
Let me comment on that. You know, it's sort of a double-edged sword, right? First you said, you know, you can't get on because people are joyriding. And then when the operator bends a rule and lets you on, then it's too crowded. So I think you've just exhibited the issues that we have. You know, it's tomato, tomato. Which one comes first? I agree with you, but I will tell you that in short time, this issue will be solved. We will have completely put the barriers in. We'll be as close to the new normal as we can be, and we'll be allowing more people on the bus. Quite frankly, after talking to the health department, 14 people legitimately can get on currently. But again, think about it on the other side. If it's really strict at 10 and people are standing outside and it's cold outside, then my complaint is people are standing outside and it's cold. So it's sort of, you stand outside and it's cold, or it's a crowded bus. This is what the pandemic does. It gives us choices that are almost impossible to make everybody happy. But again, I understand your concern. We're taking it in consideration. Be patient with us, and we'll do what we can do. Is that fair enough?
Absolutely. And I do understand what you're saying, but the thing of it is a lot of the drivers recognize who these individuals are who are just out here joyriding. So my thing is, if you know that these individuals are just out here joyriding, you have these vagrants that are just out here joyriding, why would you keep letting them on the bus?
I want to give others an opportunity
They
to ask
are.
questions, but I will tell you, I will answer your question, then we're going to move on. And again, if you can come back, we'll talk some more.
Absolutely.
We can't, when people get on a bus, we can't kick them off. Before, if you didn't pay, you can kick them off, but it's a free ride. So if you have somebody that's joyriding, and again, we can't identify somebody visually or in any way that they are, as you state, a vagrant or a joyrider. The only way that we know is when they ride to the end of the line, and then they don't get off and it continues. Operators have been instructed to contact our police force and our road soups to come out and let the people know that they can't joyride. But again, when it's cold outside, people have tricks. They get off, they get back on. I mean, we are dealing with a lot of things. So it's not a scenario where we say, okay, I know you're homeless, you can't get on. You cannot do that in public transportation. I'm sorry, I understand what you're saying, but it just can't be done that way. Again, when we move forward with paying the fares, I think we'll be in better shape.
Okay, absolutely.
Okay, great. The next hand I see up is Megan Owens.
Hi, thank you for the opportunity. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Great, thank you. Actually, this what I wanted to say ties very well into your previous conversation with Ms. McDaniel. I'm also very concerned about buses passing people up. I've been hearing a lot of concerns and complaints about that happening. And while I absolutely recognize the double-edged sword that you were referencing, there is also another component of it, which is how many buses you are operating. I wanted to see if you have any data you can share in terms of how many buses are operating compared to the schedule. It looks like from the DDOT performance report from last month that afternoon pullouts were only 87%. So that means 13% of the buses that are scheduled aren't operating. If I'm following that? And then I also was wondering what that is compared to pre-COVID. To tie into, do you have a sense of when you expect to be able to restore the full schedule? I mean, if a bus is already at whatever the capacity is, 14 sounds better than 10, and there are still people waiting, it's less of a big deal if the next bus is going to come in 5 minutes than if the next bus isn't going to come for 45 minutes. So yeah, and then lastly, what's the barrier to restoring that schedule? I know you're definitely dealing with a whole lot of challenges, a whole lot of people out from COVID and other challenges, but if you can say a little bit about when you might be able to restore more service, so hopefully people you won't be stuck in that crowded bus versus wait on the side of the road scenario as much. Thank you.
Okay, fantastic. So before I answer that question, let me set the stage for a second. Let's pretend as if this pandemic has not happened. And we are running full service, which requires 477 operators. We're running full, just imagine just full service. Everything's running. Crowded buses, everything's fine, okay? No pandemic. And then I say, I was just told that I'm allowed to put 10 people on a bus. Do you know what would happen? I would have 10 people on a bus. I would be running full service. I would not satisfy the customers because a majority of them would be at the stop. I could not increase frequency on every single bus, and we would have the exact same problem. I'm saying that to say, now take our bus system, reduce it to an adjusted schedule because we don't have the same ridership, right? Reduce it to 10 people, have people get on for free on the back, which has people riding the bus that don't necessarily need to ride and others that are waiting for the bus. We are completely handicapped. It doesn't matter what we do at this point. We're not going to completely satisfy everybody. We can make it better, but we cannot satisfy everyone. With that being said, let's get to your question. So your question is, you're talking about pullout. Pullout doesn't necessarily mean that we don't have the vehicles. As a matter of fact, that's not the case. We have plenty of vehicles. We don't have enough operators coming to work to satisfy a full schedule. That's why we created a modified schedule. This current modified schedule reflects roughly between 280 and 300 operators. We have between 260 and 280 showing up on a regular basis, which makes it consistent transportation in the locations that our statistics show is needed. We do this utilizing route information, overcrowding data to adjust on the, and then in addition, as we have more operators that show up, we then put them in various locations and try to add wherever we can. Unfortunately, it's sort of like whack-a-mole. You know, you fix one side, the other side has a problem. You have one complaint, the other side, and that's our daily life. We have no problem with it, but that's just the reality of what we're dealing with. As far as saying, well, then just run more buses and then you'll be able to solve the service, a la 5-minute headways. I don't think in the history of DDOT we've had 5-minute headways. As a matter of fact, I can't name a transit system that does. So I don't think that's realistic. So if you really want to look at the issue, I think the issue here is trying to figure out how are we going to increase capacity on the buses, which is what our job is. Our job is to, in the past, was to work hard to make sure that as many people get on the bus as possible. That's what I've been trained for. Now we're being told, put less people on, try to fill it with more buses, find more people, and make everyone happy. And unfortunately, with the status of where we are today, it's not going to happen, but we do have a solution. Once all of the barriers are in, which we're finishing up, and once we start collecting fares and or stop free service, which will stop the joy riders, which will stop the overcrowding. That's the short answer.
Thank you very much. So full service is 477 drivers.
Correct.
Schedule is about 300, and you regularly have about 260 consistently coming in. Is that what I'm understanding?
Yes, as a matter of fact, I look forward to going to your to the TRU state of transit to discuss some of that.
Excellent. Thank you for sharing that. And I realize you're definitely in a tough situation, and you're never good. I understand you're never going to keep everybody happy. I think continuing to make strides to get more buses operating, get more drivers out there, more buses operating, and fill them with more people. Hopefully we'll continue to see progress. And
absolutely.
Thank you for the event. If anyone is interested, next Thursday, January 28th, get a state of the region's transit with not only Mike Hell here, Mr. Oglesby here, but also leaders from DDOT or from SMART and from RTA providing updates and discussions. So thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you, Megan. And make sure you don't take that information I told you and use it in your address before I speak.
All right.
Okay, the next hand up I see is Victoria Burnett. You can go ahead and unmute yourself.
Good evening, all. My name is Victoria Burnett. I'm with Detroit People's Platform and also a member of Transit Justice. My concern is the equity analysis that we were supposed to be receiving for the fairgrounds. I don't know if you guys can speak on that at all, know the progress of it. And, oh God, I done forgot the other one. Okay, that's all, because I can't remember what my other point was at this time. I apologize for that. You guys have a great evening.
Thank you. I can speak to that quickly. Thank you for the question. So we are wrapping up the equity analysis. Basically, we've completed the equity analysis. We send it over to our colleagues who review it, and then they've sent it back for some edits. So that's happening right now. We're on our second draft. They're working on the edits as of today. I think there were just a couple more comments and edits that were recommended. We will be communicating the results as soon as that is finalized. So all of the analysis has been done, and it is in the equity analysis, but once that is finalized and approved by the department, we will go ahead and make sure it is available for review. And we will start communicating the decision as well as some next steps that we have prepared to move forward with the transit center.
So can we get a date?
Is anybody from compliance on? So we plan to start communicating next week, the week of the 25th.
And the completion where it will be submitted so that the public and interested citizens can read it. Do we have a date for that also?
My best bet would be the same week. I don't want to give an exact date though, because I'm not the one doing the edits and I'm not the one reviewing it for the comments. So I don't want to, say anything that just isn't correct based on the pieces that are needed to complete the analysis.
Okay, and so you said February or?
No, ma'am. We plan to have it out next week, the week of the 25th.
The week of the 25th. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And Mickey, just to add to that, I believe that'll be put on the website, right?
Yep, it will be put on the website and made available. And then we will start putting out, with the marketing team, we're working on communicating it just through some notifications to make sure people know what the decision is.
Fantastic. So just keep your eye on the website and we'll be letting you know.
Okay, thank you very much.
And if I could just add one more thing, sorry. So we want to make sure riders also know, if you are a transit rider who uses the current Stay Fair Transit Hub, if that's a stop that you use to connect, please also look for information at the Transit Hub. We have been posting information at those area shelters, as well as the 2 kiosks that are located at that location to make sure we are reaching our riders out in the field. So if you are someone that uses the hub, please keep an eye out for information there because we are keeping that up to date.
Okay, the next hand up I see is Jamie Jr. You can go ahead. Jamie, we can't hear you.
Might have to want to come back.
Okay. We're going to come back. The next hand up I see is Ted Tansley.
Hello, good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Just wanted to ask a couple of questions here. When we talk about the data and information update, I was curious and maybe refreshing on what's going to be impacted with that, when it will be finished, so that we can get a time frame idea for that. And then additionally, I wanted to ask what other capital investments are in the works through DDOT? Like, are there bus shelters we're going to be expecting? Maybe lights at bus stops? I know people brought that up. Are we doing any investments in the future or near future to potentially increase the frequency? Maybe not necessarily increase the number of buses, but make it so that the buses can run faster, maybe like signal priority or bus lanes, something like that to help improve the frequency. And then in addition, As far as for any capital investments, will that information be published on the website so that we can track the progress and see where we're going to expect like improvements for lighting or improvements for bus stops, that sort of thing?
So I can answer the question, Mr. Tansley, about the data upgrade. So we're had a soft launch about 7 weeks ago of the system being integrated. So our onboard systems and our scheduling systems are interfacing right now. And we've had our ups and downs, you know, I'll admit, when it comes to the integration itself. However, that doesn't mean that we're not working forward to maybe in the next 2 or 3 months to have improvements on the website. We're still taking some suggestions, not only internally from our departments, but also just using other agencies as a benchmark on what we should report. Some initial ideas that we have are, like Ms. Owens had suggested, just understanding like if there are any gaps in service, like what kind of percentage of the service. There's a great suggestion in that. Another part is making sure that maybe by a route basis that we're able to give a much more up-to-date information based on routes, stops, and those are some of the things that we're working on right now. So in terms of data, I think that, you know, what a great benchmark, especially with the new tech upgrade, benchmark would be is to use other agencies, but your suggestions would be welcome. So by all means, if you have some in the chat, please let us know. I'll also put my email address in the chat if you'd like to see that.
Yeah, that'd be great. And what about like the capital investments and the other portion of my question there? If anyone can answer that.
I don't have a direct line of sight to the capital investments, but that is definitely something that I can work with the senior managers, and you know it's a great complement to that. And you know, as information goes, I can coordinate with those that are looking at the not only budgetary aspects of it, but also project planning and moving forward. I can help with that as well. It's a good compliment. Yeah.
No, absolutely. Yeah, Ricky. I was actually waiting for my my staff, especially in the bus shelter area, to kind of speak, because there's a bus shelter program that is coming up. I'm sure that we'll get that information out to you. I don't have it in front of me. But as far as signal prioritization, typically that's something that's done with bus rapid transit, or BRT, which requires a 60-foot articulated vehicle and a dedicated lane. We don't have any vehicles with dedicated lanes, therefore smart prioritization isn't realistic with the current setup that we have. That doesn't mean that's not something we're looking at. I'm very interested in running some type of bus rapid transit, which is a replica of light rail, but just done with a 60-foot articulated vehicle. We have those vehicles, and it's something that I think would be fantastic in the city of Detroit. One big capital investment that we're doing is we are in the process of getting some electric bus vehicles on board. By the end of the year, we're going to electrify Detroit. And I look forward towards seeing DDOT buses, that's a electric vehicle, going through as a pilot program to see how they operate in these conditions. And if it's something that makes sense, we're going to continue to purchase them. We're also looking at creating a more efficient fleet replacement program. More of a fleet will allow more service should we get to the point of maximum service and maximum operators. Right now we have 288 vehicles, and we're only utilizing 220 of those vehicles to date. So we have plenty of vehicles. And I know a lot of people say, well, why don't you just add more buses and more people and just put more ridership out there? That's not transit. That's a good idea, but it doesn't work that way. So we're working diligently to figure out what type of things we can do. Of course, our staff is always looking at the lighting concerns, and I'm glad that you brought them up. If you have any specific ones, let us know and we'll take a look at it. We're going to just keep working on replacing shelters, making sure that we have the newest shelters and an advancement on the shelter program. We're going to take a relook at the actual benches, stops, shelters, everything that you have discussed. We're taking a look at it. So right now we don't have a plan per se to announce, but I can assure you before the end of the year we will, and we'll let you know.
Thank you.
Jamie Jr. is back, hopefully. Go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hi, the person you're about to speak with has call captions turned on. They'll see captions of what you say to help them listen along.
Hello?
Hey, we can hear you.
Oh, okay. Good. Happy New Year, everyone. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak. I have a similar comment or question to Ted, who stated earlier regarding seating and the shelters. I am a person that uses a power wheelchair, so sometimes the shelters can be limiting about how many wheelchairs can get into it. I was thinking that possibly canopies could be a good solution that would allow for more than one wheelchair, and also a bench to be included there. Additionally, there are several neighborhood bus stops that the bus stops are on grass or untenable territory for wheelchairs. I specifically live in the Brightmore area, so along Schoolcraft, several of the bus stops are on grass. So I wanted to know if there are any plans to go through and try to put concrete on some of the bus stop areas and making sure that there is the curb cut there so people can easily enter and exit the bus. The last question that I have is, and I would like an update on the paratransit transition. I know at one time it was stated that paratransit would be coming back in-house, which I was very excited about, but I wanted to know if there were any updates on that process. Thank you.
We should have someone who can address, correct?
So I can speak to the bus stops and the grass. What I can do is pass it along to my colleague who's our bus stop coordinator, and we can talk about looking specifically, just starting with that Schoolcraft route and that corridor for you. And there's some opportunities to work with other city departments that are directly engaged and a little more responsible when it comes to the streetscapes and the sidewalks, and making sure that if there are improvements happening as far as replacing sidewalks or anything like that, we can just make sure we work with them to kind of get our needs out to them as well. So if there are opportunities to improve a bus stop area as far as the concrete, we can take that opportunity with our fellow departments.
I'm aware, Ms. Junior, that through the bus stop program, there are plans to, and I can't give you the specifics, so I have to talk to the person and coordinate it, but they are trying to pour some cement at some of those locations, because I understand and agree that there are plenty of opportunities to improve those areas for ADA riders like yourself.
Yes, let me add to that. Thank you, Don. Yes, that is the first step, but the ultimate step is to do something similar to a comprehensive operations analysis on the entire system. Part of that includes taking a hard look separately at all bus stops to see if they're ADA compliant. There are some that are grandfathered in, there are some that have been existing for a long period of time. There are some that you were mentioning that need concrete poured. Right now, our approach is sort of, where the complaint is and where we think the right location is, and then we do what we need to do. But we need to take a look at the entire system and assess it. So I truly appreciate and applaud your comments because you're spot on. That's something that we need to be focusing on. There's a lot of things we need to focus on. As far as paratransit, that one's a little tricky. At one point, we never said that we were going to bring it in-house. I will tell you that there are various ways to run paratransit, and ours is unique because it's a brokerage system where we contract out to a contractor who oversees multiple contractors. So it makes sense to bring it back in-house. With that being said, the current contract is up in February. Given the time frame, and to do it properly based on a lot of the input like yourself, we want to make sure we do it right. So we're still in the process of moving forward with approaching city council, and we haven't done this yet, so it's not approved, but I mean, we want to move forward with extending the current contract 1 year while we assess and decide what the proper methodology is. Either we can bring a portion of it in-house and oversee it, we can bring the whole thing in-house, or we can continue business as usual. But given the fact that the current contract's going to be up soon, we're going to extend it, and we're going to do a deep dive. I'm personally going to be involved to make sure that we have something different in the city of Detroit. But I will say that our ultimate goal is to make sure that the individuals providing the transportation are Detroiters. So we want to keep that element there, and we want to do it right. So with that being said, we are moving forward with looking at that, and thank you for your comments.
Okay, thank you for that. I'm sorry I misunderstood. I thought there was some previous comments that the contracting process will be brought in-house. Like now we have a third party, which is TransDev. So I thought that second layer would be removed where individuals providing the transportation would contract directly with the city. I thought that was something that I heard, but I do apologize if I was mistaken on that. Last comment is I want to thank you all for providing closed captions and ASL interpretation for those of us who need those services, and hopefully it'll continue throughout the year without it having to be requested in advance, because sometimes those requests for some reason fall through the cracks. So thank you.
And Jamie, I just want to say you never have to apologize to us. Your comments and your questions were spot on. You actually said something that may be the outcome of what we do moving forward. Again, during that 1 year period, we're going to do an assessment, and it is quite possible that the outcome is what you say. It is an option. So again, you are spot on. There's no need to apologize.
Okay, great. The next hand up I see is an email. Vardaman.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, how you doing? How you doing, Mr. Oglesby? We finally met. I'm on the staff of Councilman McAllister.
Okay.
You talked to me and Mr. Blackman and the councilman, my face was here. And so now it's finally a pleasure to meet you. And I thank you for all your comments. One question that I would have, the 312 mechanics, are they now involved in the servicing of the electric buses, or are they involved in the training?
When we bring the electric buses on, there's a full training that's going to take place. The electric buses are not here yet. They're going to be here at the end of the year. When they do come, all mechanics will be trained on the buses. It's a total different animal. You're talking about an electric vehicle. You go from changing oil to pulling out a laptop. So yes, everybody's going to be trained because we're going to need everybody's assistance. It's a big step moving forward with the future. So when we do bring it out, we'll make sure everybody's on board.
Okay, thank you. And I appreciate your time. I think you're doing a good job. I'm here to help you. I represent 32 years of service, and I'd be happy to help you in any way, shape, or form.
Thank you very much. And I want to get your comment from good to great, and I'm going to use you to do it. How's that?
Oh, that's fine, because it's very obvious to me you're quite the showman.
Oh, well, I'm giving it a shot, my man.
Okay, thanks again.
Yep.
Okay, great. The next hand up I see is Marguerite Maddox.
Thank you. Happy New Year to everyone. Stay safe. I put some of my comments in the chat. We read it, please? Somebody read what I wrote in the chat.
Could someone please read what I wrote in the chat?
Is it with the TP? I assume that's transit police. So with people with speech impairments or deaf, how are they supposed to reach out to transit police? Is that the question, Marguerite?
Yes, that one, and the one underneath, the best stop, because
That's
what Jamie was talking about earlier. But me, I travel up and on, and there are bus stops, especially near 7 Mile and
their bus
Grand
7
River
Mile.
and Grand River.
And Grand River and McNichols.
No, the 7 Mile and Grand River area.
7 Mile and Grand River area.
The sidewalk is higher than at that particular bus stop. And due to the bus cannot get close to the curb because of the high sidewalk. And if the train near the bus, it will not be comfortable for people in power wheelchairs, manual wheelchairs.
Makes uncomfortable for people in power chairs, wheelchairs.
Can I respond to that? Marguerite, this is Gina.
Yes.
Marguerite. Those bus stops were put out there by MDOT. They were put out there by MDOT. I will have Karsten contact them and let them know that there are issues with it. To let them know that they're too high up and our buses can't get up there. And yeah, I'm not pleased with those bus stops as well. So I will let him know to reach out.
Thank you. Thank you. And with
Thank you.
with the comment in the chat about the transit police, how are we people that get the hard of hearing with speech problem, we cannot talk. Testing will be good.
It's the people with the speech
And
problems. How? Hi, Miss Marguerite. This is Chief Brown, Transit Police. Miss King, did you want to respond to that first? How to communicate with DDOT?
I don't know, Mr. Oglesby, do you want me to respond or do you want Zandra or Marianne? When you, well, Chief, when Marguerite calls customer service, they were trained that you are patient.
Hello, everybody. How are you doing? I'm sorry, Pamela. What did you say? I didn't hear you.
Did you want me to respond or Zandra or Marianne?
That's a good question. Chief, you thought.
Okay, I got a suggestion for Miss Marguerite. If you have the ability to email, that's one way, or written documentation sent to DDOT. Please provide as much information as possible. For example, the actual routes, the location, the time, and the specific incidents that you're requesting transit police for.
Yes, and Marguerite, I'm sorry for the miscommunication. Clearly, we have some type of internal snafu that we'll have to handle offline. But with that being said, thank you for your time.
I am going to put it in the chat because sometimes when I try to get my point across, it's not working right now, but I will put everything in the chat. Thank you.
Okay, and if I could just add, I think I may have misunderstood one concern, because I thought that the communication was with the operators, but I am taking notes as it relates to customer service. And I will review the chat.
Both.
The chat as well.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm done.
Okay, thank you. The next hand up I see is Samara Hill.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Hello, my name is Samara. I just have two questions. What is the protocol for bus drivers stopping for riders who are standing at a bus stop that no longer has a sign, as in it's been knocked down to the ground? And my second question is, I've noticed that our bus drivers are, for lack of a better word, stressed. And I want to know what's being done for the betterment of their mental health as essential workers during this time.
It looks like no one's answering. I don't know what's going on today. This is very interesting. I have a lot of staff, but clearly I'm going to. Okay, so can you start with the first question, please? I'm sorry.
Oh, would you like me to repeat the first question?
Yes, if you don't mind, I
Yeah, sure, no
apologize.
problem. No, it's okay. It's late, I get it. What is the protocol for bus drivers stopping for riders who are standing at a bus stop that no longer has a sign? Is it okay for them to just pass them up? What should we be doing besides calling in to ask that the sign be put back up?
Do you have an exact location where that took place? Because clearly,
Yes.
one, we need to look at that sign and put it back up. And two, no, clearly it is not okay for an operator to pass by. There could be multiple reasons why they pass by, up to including the whole overcrowding 10 people problem. But there are no excuses. There's no reason to pass anyone up waiting at the bus stop, whether it is knocked down or not. So I know Andre Mallet is here and he's on. I'm sure that he could sort of comment on that too.
Yes, good evening. And I do apologize. I had a slight snafu with technology getting into the Zoom call. And I think we got to resolve. Originally, I couldn't, I had to put my hand up to speak. So just to kind of clear up the issue as relates to training for our operators when this stop is removed. The department have recently done quite a bit of training, enhancement training, but currently there is no protocol as it relates to identifying where a missing sign is for the operator to stop. It makes it really hard for our operators because we have a lot of new operators that have just recently been hired. And so we will continue our efforts at diligently instructing them the proper protocols, proper procedures. But if you can kind of be patient with us, help us get that information as it relates to what location where that sign is missing, and we will continue to instruct our operators.
Yes.
And so can you go on with the second portion of your question again?
Sure. I'd just like to answer, go back to the first really quick. I would be super gracious about, new drivers. I completely understand that. Except we have this awesome new technology that announces the stops before you get there. So it'd be nice if we were paying more attention. And I'll definitely type into the chat, what stop it is for time's sake. My second question was, I've noticed that, or rather comment, I've noticed that bus drivers are a lot more stressed lately. And I wanted to know what was being done for the betterment of their mental health as essential workers during this time.
Right. So, and let me just clear up one point on the new technology. You are absolutely correct. We are just embarking upon some very wonderful technology, our clever device system. But having said that, it is less than a couple months in operation, and there are still quite a few kinks that we're working through. And so, yes, once we get that up to speed properly, that will be a great tool for our operators to, identify each coach stop and each transfer point. But we are currently in the process of perfecting that system. There are still a couple kinks in the background. And so just kind of be patient with us. Not to make any excuses, but that is one of the issues that we encounter. It's brand new technology. And as we work out the kinks, I would say early spring, that most of these issues should be resolved. And as far as our operators with their stress, right now we are currently going through enhancement training. We just did some de-escalation training with our operator. We have been putting together training identifying the concerns as relates to this pandemic and how to ease some of the stress that our operators are encountering. And so we have put some training in place. There's a lot more that we can do. We've also have, the city is offering some HMSA. We have some EAC programs put together, combined with our collective bargaining units to kind of deal with stress and issues that they may encounter, whether it's in their personal life or whether it's job related. So we definitely take that very serious. We need our operators to be at 100% mental capacity as they're out there navigating safely up the streets of the city of Detroit. And so we are, any other suggestions we'll greatly take as well. And just to kind of bring up one of the points for Ms. Owens earlier, she mentioned, is there something that we are doing to help get our operators back in the seat? And yes, the city of Detroit have started vaccinations, COVID vaccination for our operators. It's on a voluntary basis, but the city is providing our frontline essential workers vaccinations so that they can ensure their ability to come out and feel safe and navigate the streets and go home and take care of their families as well. So we are working hard to put things in place to keep our public and our operators safe.
Thank you.
Fantastic. You see, once you get Andre wound up, you know, you can't stop him. So that's good news. He didn't want to speak now. He just tore it up. Let me just say one thing to that. You know, I have the same concern you do. I mean, the pandemic has everybody kind of on edge. That coupled with the fact that there are a lot of people working from home while they're out in the field day to day. That's one of the reasons why we move forward with the various things. Again, I talk about the 3 points, making sure they have their masks, making sure they have the barrier, making sure they have their vaccinations. But that's not enough. The riders have to respect the operators. And that's one of the problems that I'm actually having on the other side. Over the past month and a half, I personally stood in front of over 300 operators and not only talked to them about some of their concerns and some of their stresses, but, you know, some of the reasons why they're not happy. There's various reasons why they're not happy. And I understand, and I'm trying to address all of them. You're looking at 20 years of issues that have taken place that they weren't happy with prior to COVID. Put COVID on top of it, asked them to do an almost impossible job by providing transportation with less operators and less people allowed on the vehicle. And they're dealing with the day-to-day backlash of riders. There are riders that don't necessarily, there are a lot of riders that appreciate what they do, but there are a lot that take it for granted and do not. They expressed it to me. I understand it. My father was an operator for 34 years. So when I look in their eyes, I see him. And when I see that they're upset, I say we have to do something. That's why we did various training, which is de-escalation training, and the retraining incorporated me going in and trying to talk to each and every operator. I mean, we're doing the best that we can during this pandemic. I'll tell you what, I've been in transit 30 years. I know transit, but I don't know COVID. I have no problem telling you. And, you know, even I, to tell you honestly, I don't think the professionals that are telling us they know COVID, but we're not even go down that road right now. There's a whole other production, be another Zoom. But I will say that we care. We not only care about the riders, but we care about the operators, and we're letting them know. And our focus in 2020 is to continue to let the operators know that we're listening, because we need them. Without them, those buses don't get on the road.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Before we move to our final comments, it is 6:30. I do want to allow the two that were already had their hands up, and Mr. Verse, if you are on there, I don't know if that's your phone number, we haven't forgot about you as well. But I do want to just know that if your hand isn't raised now, you can still always email us or call in between, and then we'll have your comment answered for next time, or be able to respond to you via email.
Okay, Jacqueline Austin, your hand was up.
Thank you so very much. I try not to be before you long. My name is Jacqueline Austin. I'm with the Detroit People's Platform Transit Justice Team. My concern is, being part of the ADA community, that you move forward and continue the no fare policy, considering that right now during this pandemic, it's not affordable for everyone to afford even the $2. You have to choose between your meds and riding the bus. Which would you choose? With that being said, communication is a plus. We've had several meetings prior to COVID-19, whether it be 20 years, 10 years, 5 years, yesterday, or 24 hours from now, that you utilize your marketing skills. We've asked for that. We've had several meetings at libraries, community centers, etc. We've done that. And our ask is that you communicate to the ADA community, especially considering the fact that we wait out in the elements. I'm the young lady that received the yellow mitten. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. I also appreciate and respect the fact that while I'm talking to you right now, I do see
that you have the typing in the chat for those that are not able, either they have vision impairment, mental impairment, whatever it is, but I still ask and have not received, and wonder if there's even a concern brought up for the fact that when I fill out an application, the renewal process, I have not received yet any confirmation in the mail to remind me or let me know what's going on in my community, other than to come to Third Thursday meetings. I may not have, and may sometimes, although I'm tech savvy at being 52 years old, I'm able to maneuver around social media. But those that are not able to do that, how are you reaching out to them mailers? I believe I've asked for that on several occasions. The safety of the riders, the paratransit, considering the fact that although I live within maybe, I want to say 10 minutes, 5 minutes of walking distance, I've been late and had to have my insurance almost cancel my membership, considering the fact that transit has made, paratransit has made me late, which made me either walk to my appointment or catch the bus, which sometimes is late, not on time. And as far as safety, another thing with safety is you guys bought into cameras, I believe. I could be wrong. You bought into cameras to alleviate the crime. You also opted into having safety officers ride the bus along the routes. And every now and then you see that, every now and then you don't. But wherever you place it in, I do appreciate it. But my concern, just like the elections, that may be a separate entity for you guys, but I do understand that when I'm getting a mailbox full of mailers, I would at least assume, and you know what that does when you assume things, I like to assume that the service that I put money into gives me back what I give it, and that's funds and monies to operate. And that does make sense to me in my mind, because being a taxpayer, I expect an overachieve of a service that I pay into. I expect that. I need it, I want it, and I expect it. So I would like to see the ADA community just get a little more, a little more piece of the pie than what we've been getting. I like to see mailers sent to me to let me know. Again, not everybody has social media. I would like to see mailers sent out to all the addresses that you have on file. Whether I have a complaint number or not, you have my address at 5712 Bobian Street, Detroit, Michigan, District 5, 48202. You have that information, and you've had it since I signed my first application. So with that being said, I'd like to see a mailer sent to me when these meetings are out. I get mailers whenever it's time for me to vote for someone, or to vote for services and millages. I just like that same respect, and I thank you for my time.
Ms. Austin, I'd like to just say that I think you're looking for communication from the paratransit side, and we can have that conversation. I agree that there's room for improvement and making sure the ADA community is aware. And as you said, not everybody's tech savvy, and there is some opportunity. We are looking at, for those who are techie, looking at improving the web page that we have, and so we can get more information out. But I'll take your suggestion as a good one for maybe putting something in the mail. And that's something we can work with our marketing team on to put something together, and we'll take that as a great suggestion and move forward and see what we can do.
Yeah, Don, that's a great comment. I will say that upon my arrival, approximately 8 months ago, I believe the very first meeting that I attended, this was a request. And I believe our response was, we're going to look at that and get back to you. So I understand her feeling. I feel like her now, right? I know from the marketing standpoint, I remember it was, yes, that's a great idea. I think we need to move forward with mailers. We need to start looking at that. We fully understand where you're coming from. We're going to do our best. I'm going to say I apologize because we have not done our best. We need to do better. From this point forward, if I have to deal with it myself, I will deal with it myself, and I'll deal with staff, and I will make sure that we have a solution to the mailers. If we cannot do it for some reason, we are obligated to let you know why. So at the very least, either we're going to do it or we're not, and we're going to let you know, and we're going to be straightforward and transparent from this point forward.
I'd also like to invite Ms. Austin to the February 16th local advisory council meeting. That will be a Zoom meeting, but if you have opportunity, it's at 10 o'clock in the morning. Your participation would be more than welcome.
Thank you with that invitation. So moving forward, I would like that invitation to be sent to Jacqueline, JACQUELINE, the letter D as in David, AUSTIN @gmail.com. You can reach me there 24 hours. I take emails, doesn't matter day or night, and I will respond. Moving forward, I think that should also be embarked upon the districts 1 through 7 upon city council. We've made this ask before city council as well. And so I ask that you work with city council and work with the ADA community, especially to make sure this gets done, because you can't reach everybody with your meetings. I can't expect someone to do what I think that everyone should do. It's just, it's not a perfect world we live in. So with that being said, if everyone, I would just be elated and ecstatic and probably fall to my knees and cry if I just saw something from DDOT in my mail telling me when these meetings are. I know when they are, but my ADA community and me being part of this new community, I feel slighted. I feel like, I feel like a bus stop with no shelter. So,
Oh, no, you didn't.
Oh, yes.
Jacqueline,
yes.
no, you didn't.
Yes,
Wait
I do.
a minute now. I remember you. I remember when I first came. Oh, absolutely. I remember.
You
As a matter of
do? I'm
fact,
so glad I have made a stain on your brain, sir.
oh, yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. I remember when you actually brought this up. As a matter of fact, my reference was actually when you brought it up. I remember the conversation well. So don't be surprised if you get something in the mail.
I don't, I'm not surprised anymore.
Okay.
I'm a
Ms. Austin.
Detroiter, so we're not surprised.
And I have your email now too, so I just wrote it down.
Okay, I'll say it again. JAC.
No, you don't have to. I got it.
Oh, you got it? Hey,
yeah, I got it.
Hey, hopefully everybody else takes it.
Miss Austin, this is Chief Brown, Transit Police. Real quick, I'd be remiss if I didn't respond to your safety concerns. Just so you know, we try to be as efficient and cost effective as possible. With the number of officers that we have, we deploy our officers to routes and buses and locations that cause the most problems, have the most complaints and incidents. If you have any location or route that you're riding and you have a problem on, please don't hesitate to let DDOT know. They will forward it to us, and we will ensure that officers are deployed to that specific route location to address the problem. So I just want to make sure you know that.
Okay, yeah, and I would like the cameras to work so that we can capture and ensure the safety of not just the ADA community, but riders that are essential that use along any bus line.
The cameras are working, Ms. Austin.
They are?
However, they're not live because you need Wi-Fi. You need, there's a lot of technology that goes into having live stream cameras. And then you have to worry about who's going to actually sit and watch all the cameras for all the buses live. But we do have cameras. They are working. And we have been very, very successful with prosecution of people caught on cameras doing things. So just so you know, we're on it.
Yes. And to add to the chief's comments, they work, but they can be better. And we are together working on trying to replace the entire camera system. I was working on it yesterday, as a matter of fact. And when we get the new camera system, it'll be top of the line, web-based, the whole shot. So be patient with us. You're safe now.
You how that might look, but you can link those up with the police department. I mean, I'm
Yep.
aware of other networks that are using that are linked up, community and police linked up. I mean, come on, I'm 52 years old. I know this, and I don't even work in you guys' department. Just saying.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
So,
I agree. Yeah, I hear you. I agree with you. Yes, they can be linked up once we get to the newer technology, but the current technology that we have is not web-based, therefore that can't happen. But I understand what you're saying, and being 52 years young, I appreciate you. So we're gonna make it happen, and you'll be
Okay.
proud of us when we do.
And as long as it doesn't incriminate, although I am against facial recognition software, sorry to say, well, I'm not sorry to say that, as long as it's not incriminating the riders as well, because
Yep.
I saw something not tasteful. I can even send it to you, where I felt like the DDOT officers or transit officers were just degrading a rider because of their mental capacity to put them outside. This was during the winter time, and they put them outside because I guess the person decided to ride the bus to the end of the line. And I recorded it, and I was just really disgusted at how they're doing it. And I don't know what you guys are doing about that bathroom issue, but I mean, the transit center is a 24-hour place. Anybody could need to relieve themselves at any time. So to close it at 7, I don't know what decision you guys have made on that, but I think that if it's 24 hours, it needs to be 24 hours, and you should have 20. If you got 24 hours service for something, a bus line is coming in there, a person should be able to relieve themselves, or else, they're going to find ways to relieve themselves, and you don't want them doing it around the transit center.
That part we did extend. You may have missed that in the beginning. It is extended until midnight for now. From 7 a.m. to midnight is the restroom use.
Okay.
We do have to, like I said, we are overtime. I think we have one more.
Yep, one last, it's the phone number ending in 133.
Is that Mr.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Oh, no, sir.
Yes.
Hi, good evening. This is Renard Mashensky, organizer of the Detroit People's Platform Transit Justice Team. One, I just wanted to acknowledge that I'm seeing more masks on the buses, so I want to thank the department for that, and increased installation of shelters. I've been seeing them on Woolward and McNichols. I've seen one on Woolward and 7 Mile. I want to make a quick suggestion that there should be one on the eastbound side of 7 Mile, a bus shelter there, because it's just a seat, and you got all the cars there, and then it's snowing. So while it's encouraging, it's on the westbound side of 7 Mile across from Woolward. The greater need for the shelter should be on the east side as well, too. That way you got at least 3 shelters on the southbound side of Woolward, northbound side, and then on the, this is southbound side of Woolward, you have shelters on both opposite sides of 7 Mile. There needs to be one across from that gas station. And I'm not going to bring up security and other issues because we have police departments to take care of city issues and things of that sort. I just want to be on record to say that I don't support any active surveillance of bus riders. The cameras on there that are recordable are sufficient enough. And I don't support any facial recognition technology used on buses because they have a high failure rate of misidentifying Black bus riders. There was actually a case where a Birmingham man was falsely accused. They used an old license photo of his, ran it against this faulty racist software, and got him there. And we're a majority Black city, so we don't need bus riders falsely being identified for crimes or offenses that they didn't commit. But I am wondering about, my question is specific about the beacons, the GPS ones. A lot of people are still complaining about the fact that the transit app is not picking up all the routes. Are there updated schedules on the DDOT website, like a COVID schedule? Because I don't know if the buses are running on a Saturday, schedule, holiday schedule, Monday through Friday schedule, and which routes. It just kind of seems like I'm putting myself to chance sitting outside for like 20 or 30 minutes. Because if I stand out there for more than 15 minutes, I'm calling a lift. I am. I'm not going to get frostbite. I'm not going to sit here and get my asthma aggravated and things of that sort. So we need to get the buses more frequently running. There is new federal monies coming in from the Biden administration, thank goodness. And then this is not an issue of the department, but I honestly feel that the mayor underfunds this transit department. You all have a lot to fix. It's been 20 years of neglect. 8 of those years under this mayor. So we need to get more investment into DDOT. Y'all can't make that call, but we as residents can. We cannot have a cheap department. We can't. So what is going on with the beacons? And then the other thing is with the capital investments, the city is about to get into capital improvements. Can there be a minimum standard of at least a seat and a canopy at each stop? You can do this. You could put 5,000 stops all over the city initially. You could put seats and shelters there. That hires people, that's more workers. I just get the sense that the city, the mayor, and this department is adverse to doing anything that would cause to spend extra money. We bus riders use this service. It's a pandemic critical service. Running it cheaply signals to us that we're just a line item. We should be a priority. Thank you.
I think here, this is Michael Oglesby, Renard. I think a lot was said. I can comment on a few of the things. Clearly, the rest of the staff can comment on the rest. We appreciate your opinion, of course. And we're going to stay away from the political aspect of it and the mayor. How's that? So as far as all those questions, we're going to keep that breezy and greasy. We can go to the next on that. I will say one thing. At no time, for the record, have we ever said that we were looking at cameras that would allow facial recognition. We are not entertaining it. I'm not sure where that came from, but I just don't want that in the atmosphere, because when something like that's brought up, especially with a strong representation and examples, it makes it appear as if that's something we were doing. So don't put something there that's not there. We are not looking at facial recognition. We are going to be looking at better cameras. We're going to be looking at better storage. And as far as what happens from there, we'll be letting you know. So I just wanted to really put that part out there. As far as money available from the city versus DDOT's position and lumping them together is not fair. We have to run transportation based on the funds that are available. And as you know, based on the situation with COVID-19, the city has actually been running into a deficit as it pertains to funding DDOT because of casino and tax shortfalls. We were able to offset that with COVID money. I'm sorry, not COVID money, with CARE, the same thing, with CARES Act funding to be able to move forward. I think we've stated that before. I think then saying that the DDOT wants to cheapen the rides does not make sense, because the entire time with every single one of our answers, we've been talking about trying to figure out how to enhance service, how to increase service, how to get more money, how to get the operators that we need currently that we have working would be fine, to be able to enhance the service from a modified schedule, which we're doing now. It is not a Saturday, it's not a weekend schedule. It's based on the knowledge of what we've been dealing with the type of ridership during COVID and working on the fly. And then on this next paddle that we're putting together, we're going to try to keep enhancing it. And that's really the best that we can do. But this is not a scenario where DDOT's trying to save money. I can assure you, if I have the money, I'm going to spend it, and I'm going to spend it for you, the rider. So I just want to make sure that those points are extremely clear.
Thank you. And this is just in response to the mayor only allocating $133 million through 2023. So this is not impugning you directly, but we need to fight for more funding for DDOT. So thank you for clarifying that. But I just wanted to clarify my statement. And it was a concern about facial recognition, especially with this increase in over-policing and fascism going on. Just wanted to hear from you, and I'm glad to hear that there will be no commitment to facial recognition as well, too, because it's a dangerous technology.
Yeah, absolutely. And we need you. So if your goal is to go out and push to get us more money, do your thing and come back and tell me how much you got, because we need it. Okay.
Is anybody addressing? I did want to keep my word and make sure that we at least attempt to go back to Mr. Verse.
Mr. Verse, do you have a better connection?
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
I'm
but
sorry,
it's not
sir.
better.
It's
There's
tough. Let's
just
give
so
it.
much
Let's get.
background noise.
It's tough. Let's give it a shot. What's the question?
Let's try one more time.
Mr. Verse, give it a shot. We'll listen to you. Give it a try.
Well, I asked and got some answers, but not really enough for a total clarification on the bus beacon issue. And I'm particularly interested, no one has addressed the health impact assessment issue. And I think that is vital when it comes to bus riders, especially when we're talking about the state fairgrounds. We're talking about a city that has a high rate of people with pulmonary problems. And we're also talking about putting them in a situation, if the current location or something close to it is used, of increasing the probability of greater damage to their respiratory system. Now, is there a reason why a health impact assessment cannot be done? If it's not, when will it be done? Can someone answer those questions, please?
Okay, Mickey, I don't know if you want to give this one a shot, but I couldn't really understand the question because it was a little grainy, but it appears as if it pertains to state fair. And now that we're moving to state fair, what is the status of a environmental kind of air study? And that's where I'm kind of thrown, because right now we have approximately 6 routes that service our current bus short of shelter makeshift area. We're going to be taking the exact same thing and moving it probably a quarter of a mile, depending on what the result is, with the exact same amount of buses. So I don't know if the question is was there ever a assessment done at the current location versus a new location? Because from a bus standpoint, it will be the same. Or is the question, what will be the air quality once the entire structure of State Fair / Amazon / everything else, which is outside of transit, what is that assessment? Because I recall that assessment being addressed by the city of being looked at, but I'm kind of confused. So maybe Mickey, you can help me out on that.
Ms. Laird, let me know if I am understanding correctly, but I think the concern is, well, Michael, I think you understood it. So with the relocation of the routes for that particular area, and just, adding that transit center, like you said, very close to the current hub, I think there are concerns with the truck traffic that is expected to come. But to your point, Mr. Oglesby, the truck traffic would impact the transit center, whether it was located on the Woodward side or the future side, whatever that turns out to be, because of the, the proximity isn't much different. And that, that's not something that DDOT was responsible for. That was something that one of the other city departments was able to look into, due to the type of development, the fact that it is light industrial. It did not trigger, I think, the NEPA process, Mr. Larry, which is the larger health assessment study and air quality study. So the type of development that this project is as a whole for the entire site did not trigger that study. And it would not be done by DDOT. It would have been done by another city department, which is BC.
Right. And what we'll do is I'll check. Thank you, Mr. Verse, by the way. I'll check to see what the status is from that other city because I'm curious myself. And then we'll make sure that we distribute it to the public. Is that fair enough?
No, because I'm not talking about an air quality study. I'm talking about the health of bus riders, the impact that the air quality will have on the bus riders. That's a difference. Yes, there can be so many particulates in the air, but that doesn't tell one what the impact that will have on the people passing through that air. And what I'm asking for is the health impact assessment of what the health impact will be on the riders passing through that area. And there is definitely a difference between where the hub is now and the health impact and what it will be and how close it will be to the truck traffic and the additional parking and car traffic once Amazon is established. Now, I hope that brought some clarification to what I'm asking about. Thank you.
So from my knowledge of the development site, the trucks will be traveling on both Woodward and 8 Mile to get into the site. So from that perspective, with the transit center at the hub at the current location, it wouldn't, there would be no difference because the truck traffic is expected to come down both those major corridors.
Well, but with that being said, let me talk to the health department to kind of, I know how to run transit. I know transit backwards and forwards. I don't know the air quality versus inside of the vehicle versus not. I do know the air flow inside of a typical bus, and that's how we come up with social distancing and all of that. But I will tell you that what you're talking about is out of my purview, but let's look into it and see what we can do.
All right, everyone. I think we're going to end on that note. It is 7 o'clock. I just want to thank everyone. I was on mute, excuse me. I think on that note, we're going to end tonight. It is 7 o'clock. We had some great conversation tonight. Again, the chat will be saved. We'll be reviewing that. We'll have the audio transcripts. So again, we'll note everything that was brought up tonight and hopefully have some more updates for you next month, if not before. Our next meeting is February 18th. Everyone have a great night. Please stay safe.
Good night.
Good night.
Thank you for coming out. Thank you, everybody. Great job. Bye-bye.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
All right.
Thank you, everybody. I'm also just going to copy the chat just as an extra safeguard.
Okay.
But I think we're all set, but everything should save. All right, you good, Kristen?
Okay, yeah, I think so.
Do you see anything? Okay, good. Say it.
No. We can follow up tomorrow.
Okay, cool.
Okay, cool. Talk to you later.
Yep.
Good night.